All right, we're back and we're going to go look at a preset now. All of these have the same basic layout for the basic bass amp, so it doesn't matter which one I pick here before we get to this artist style. So let's pick a high watt. Okay. Now the Axe FX3 has a layout that's a little more complicated than this, and I'll flash that up probably in a little while. In that the return is going to be out here, and there's going to be an out 3 in here and an out 4. But this is your FM3, and you're going, holy smoke, this looks kind of complicated. But when you get the hang of it, it's not. And we're going to go through all the different blocks as well. But let me talk about the actual preset layout in this deal. So first of all, you get 4 scenes that are basic amp scenes. You get a clean scene, and then a warmer kind of bass amp scene, and that's kind of the one I think most of you will gravitate to. That's your kind of traditional bass sound, nice and big, kind of fat without it being distorted, holds the bottom down well. Then there's going to be a gain scene where there's some gain added to the amp. And again, you have a lot of modern music on that, or some classic rock kinds of things. And then there's going to be a driven scene. So clean, warm, so this is your continuum of sort of very clean, warm, gain, driven. Then it's going to switch to 5, 6, 7, and 8 scenes, which are the same amps, but it's going to add a DI signal. So let's talk about that. This was a design that Matt Picone was actually very helpful with Fractal on me as we talked about this. Think about this row right here. This is the amp row, and this is the DI row. And in scenes 1 through 4, this is all mono, okay? It's going to come out of these outs in mono, and it's just going to be the bass amp, and that's what these are. But when we get to scenes 5, 6, and 7, what's going to happen is it's going to now activate this DI here, which is this. So, and the bass amp is going to all of a sudden pan hard left, has its own signal, and the DI is going to pan hard right. So you're actually getting if you're recording into a DAW, and you can take either individual channels or if you want stereo, but it's better to do individuals, you're going to be able to adjust on the fade or the blend between the bass amp and the DI signal, which is what most studios do now when they're recording. So this gives you that for all these basic amp presets ready to go. You've got a DI signal, and as we go through each individual block, you'll understand this better. But understand what's happening here. So, for example, this is the clean scene. When I go to 5 here, notice what just happened. The volume pan block here went off, and that's what makes it mono for scenes 1 through 4. And now it's off. So now this cab block is splitting. It's the signals. The speaker cab here is hard panned left, and there's a totally flat IR hard panned right, which is picking up this DI signal that has just a slight volume sort of piece, and then a PEQ. Pretty cool blend of that. And as we get into each part of the signal chain, you'll see, then all that goes into a send and return, and then there's a compressor here, which is more like you'd have on an outboard compressor in a studio rather than a compressor in front, and I'm going to explain those. And that compressor will turn on for scenes 5 through 8, sort of on both the DI and the bass amp. And then those go out to the outs 1 and the outs 2, and there is a GEQ that's not set, but you can set it to each one of those, and there's a chorus available for out 1. So it looks a little complicated, but it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. For most of you, if you're not worried about DI signals at all, just use scenes 1 through 4 and everything's going to work great. If you like having the blend, if you're doing this at a board or something like that, and you want to have a DI signal, maybe it's going to front of house, you've got options on how to do that, because remember, it's going to go out in stereo here, where the left signal for scenes 5 through 6 will always be the bass amp, and the right signal will be the DI signal.